We are live. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Nerdrotic spoiler cast for Luke Cage. This is a really exciting one. I've been waiting for this show to drop for a long time, and I'm joined tonight
You're
by
excited. You should feel my nipples.
yeah, the biggest Luke Cage fan of this group, Dennis Bethalkis.
Hello.
How's it going? How are you doing tonight?
Doing good. Doing good. I'm better than Gary is right now.
Yeah, and the plague-ridden Gary Beekler.
I have been
The Black Plague
I
is
have
on
been
this.
stricken with the worst affliction you can have, the man cold.
Yay, man, cold.
Yes.
So we're going to try to go as
Honey,
long as possible
Do you
tonight
have
to
some tissues?
make Gary
I need
keel over.
happy
by the end
ones
of the
and sad ones. This is gonna be fun. Sweet Christmas.
Sweet Christmas. So what we're going to be doing tonight is we're going to touch on some general spoilery topics from Luke Cage, which dropped Friday, right? We've all
Friday,
binged
yeah.
it since then. That's pretty great, guys. We got through an entire series in less than a couple of days. And a little housekeeping before we get started. Coming up this week, we're going to have 2 more live shows added to our schedule. So we're going to be podcasting about The Flash and Arrow live after each show. That'll be Gary and myself, and Dennis if he wants to join for any specific reason on those.
I can do that.
So yeah, we'll be live after each of those shows. We're also adding in another podcast at the end of the week, either Friday or Saturday, if Gary's still alive by then. And that show is going to be the Nerdrotic TV Roundtable. We're each going to pick 3 shows that we watched during the week. And just an episode. We're not going to be comprehensive about it. And we're each going to talk about 3 shows that we either liked or didn't like, maybe their premieres. I know we're going to be touching on a little bit of Designated Survivor, a little Timeless. I think we might be watching old episodes of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and Expanse. So we'll be talking about
Westworld.
What's up?
And Westworld.
And Westworld.
Premieres tonight.
Ash versus Evil Dead.
Well, that's another one I was going to talk about.
That's kind of ours, Dennis.
Yeah. Coming this season, we're going to have full episode-by-episode coverage of Walking Dead, Ash versus Evil Dead. We're going to be doing Legends of Tomorrow when it airs. We're going to be doing, I think there's one more, but it's later in the series, so we'll hold that one back. Supergirl may not happen. I need to find a co-host for that. So if there's any listeners out there that want to co-host that, Dennis. Okay.
Hey,
Dennis and I will.
I'm actually a Supergirl fan, believe it or not.
That's
I
awesome.
actually dig the
I
show,
actually believe it.
That is awesome.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
Dennis. Well, then when Supergirl airs, I think it's 2 weeks from now, or is it tomorrow?
I believe it's this week. I think.
Okay, so when Supergirl. We probably won't get a live show for that one, but it'll be available within the week afterwards. And if anyone's looking for our episode 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. of this season, because of the conflict that we're going to be having with The Flash, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to be an audio-only podcast that we plan to get live to you guys right before the newer episode airs. So the episode that aired last week is going to be available this Tuesday. In place of an actual Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode. So you'll be getting it 6 days after it airs and the day before the newer episode each week, audio only. You can subscribe on iTunes, give us a rating, ask questions, any of that stuff. We want that one to be a little more interactive, so we'll be fielding questions from you guys that we can answer each week instead of going live right after the show. So I think that's what we've got in the docket. If anything else comes up, make sure to like us on Facebook, and we'll get you all that information as it comes. And we'll get events set up for all the live shows we have coming this week.
Excellent.
Now that is out of the way. Okay, so what I think we should do is let's start with Dennis, and let's talk about our general thoughts on this season of Luke Cage. How did you like it overall, really generally?
As you could tell, I'll just show you that right there.
Cheers.
Yes, cheers. I am a Luke Cage fan from way back when, not just from hearing this. I was really jazzed when I saw Luke Cage on Jessica Jones, and then when he got his own series, really getting into it. and loved the first 4 episodes out of the gate. It wasn't until like episodes 7 through 9 that I think they kind of stumbled a little bit in the series, and then picked back up again around episode 11, to 13 is when things picked back up again. But
So you think
overall,
there's more good than bad in this showing?
yeah, I mean, it's a different. It's hard to say. I mean, we all love Daredevil. Seasons 1 and 2. There's really nothing you can say bad about Daredevil. There's nothing really bad you can say about Jessica Jones either. This one was kind of a mixed bag. There's I don't know. Like I said, I think they stumbled about in the middle, and I think it was more because they were trying to fill some time in there, and that's what hurt them. But
So
for me, it
So,
actually
Gary,
was kind of more. Oh, sorry. I was
do
just
you
going to say
agree,
it's more
Gary?
like
What was that? Finish your thought, Dennis.
I was going to say it also felt more like Dirty Harry mixed with 70s comics mixed with blaxploitation movie, which is how I kind of felt the series felt, and which I love. I mean, it was all like good. That was the goodness of it. I just think, like I said, they had a little too much filler in the middle there, just to kind of stretch it out.
So, Gary, do you think that if this were a 10-episode series, so first of all, do you agree? And second of all, I'm guessing you do. And do you think maybe a 10-episode season may have been a little better for this first one?
Yes, absolutely. Because I remember texting both of you guys right when I got finished with 7 and 9. I'm like, this thing has just gone off the rails, dude. I mean, like, it's silly. It got silly.
Yeah,
And Dennis mentioned the interrogation with Misty
Misty Knight.
went way too goddamn long.
Yeah.
Over characterization, like Cottonmouth. Cottonmouth was a better villain than Diamondback. I'm just gonna say that right now. He was a
He's a better actor.
better
too.
actor. Diamondback came off like kooky comic book villain, and where he could have been, and I think they were really going for like Heath Ledger Joker, and especially with the whole Cain and Abel stuff, which was cool. I did like that part. His performance was, but the guy who played, and I cannot pronounce his name. Sorry, Ali. Whatever his first name is, and I'll learn it. But he was great, and I wanted more of him. And what a tragic end! And Alfie Woodard, who I love. I mean, like in Star Trek, First Contact, she was so fucking good. She made that movie. This was not one of her best performances, I will say.
No.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, she can do a lot better. She's a great actress.
When we talk about the villains later on in this podcast, I think we may have a little debate there.
Biggest, it's good to have a debate. It's healthy. The biggest surprise was oh my God, what's his name? The guy who played Luke Cage. Help me, Dennis.
Mike Coulter.
Mike Coulter was freaking great. He was awesome. I was worried that he was just going to be too stoic and quiet, and he really had so many levels to his acting. He was freaking awesome. So totally loved him. Totally loved Cottonmouth. Misty Knight, when they weren't interrogating her for an hour, was brilliant. And Rosario Dawson, this was her best performance in all the Netflix series.
Because they gave her a real connection with our main character.
Yes, yeah. And we got to know a lot more about her. And she's officially become the night nurse, even though they are going to introduce a new one.
Really?
In the next, in Doctor Strange. There's going to be another night nurse, Rachel McAdams. So, I could go a lot of ways with that. And I just won't. I just won't. But yeah, I liked it. It rallied at the end. So, but it definitely should have been. Long story short, 10 episodes, because the 30 episodes were total filler.
So I agree with both of you. It's a big surprise, right? No, I agree with both of you. I felt like this was
Fence rider.
yeah, fancy Fencerton. I thought that this had the potential to be the strongest of all of the Marvel Netflix series, including the one that hasn't come, which is Iron Fist, right? Like, I thought Luke Cage had the potential to be the most entertaining, because I feel that Luke Cage has the power set of like an Avenger, right? But he chooses to be a street level hero. And I thought exploring that would be really interesting. Where I think that this show fell shortest is they didn't use him as a superhero enough in the show. He was more of a, to me, he was more of like just kind of a strong guy, political hero.
He was
Like
a
he wasn't.
reluctant hero.
Yeah, there were no like really impressive fight scenes or I don't know. I just felt like it fell short on the superhero angle. And that's where the show could have been the strongest because you've got this guy who's bulletproof, he's super strong, he's, aside from flying, but he can jump out of windows and stuff. The guy is basically Superman, right? And I don't know, I just felt like it fell a little short on the superhero angle. However, I think where it was strongest was, and I think it borrowed some actors from House of Cards, the political aspect of the show, not the political message per se, but the political maneuvering that they were taking with the show, to me was the more interesting stuff. I didn't really need to see as much of the gangster stuff as I wanted to see of the political dealings. I thought that Black Mariah was the I think they were trying to make Black Mariah the real villain of this, and to do that, I felt like they needed to concentrate more on the politics that were going on if they wanted to take any angle like that.
Well,
Yeah, they were
that's
also-
what they made her at the end. I mean,
Yeah, and they were also trying to tie her into the larger Marvel universe, the Marvel movie universe, by having her doing that political wrangling to get those super weapons, if you will, out onto the street into cops' hands.
by Hammer, by the way.
Yeah,
Hammer,
by Hammer
yeah, Justin
Industry.
Hammer.
Yeah,
I love
and
seeing that.
also seeing the suit that Diamondback was wearing, the absorbing suit, if you will, and I think that was the whole, like lead up to it is you're going to start seeing more stuff like suits from Vulture or Dr. Octopus, things like that coming out, and that it's going to be a result of the fallout from the whole Avengers, was it the
Right.
incident they were calling it? So
Yep. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think that pretty well sums up our general thoughts, but let's dive in a little bit deeper here. I'm going to throw out some characters to you guys, and I'm going to ask you to describe what they were like in comics, a little bit of their history, and then go into maybe how well they were adapted to this show. I'm going to start actually on the villain side of things because I think that's where maybe more of the knowledge gap might be for me. Definitely, I had to research a lot of these guys. So let's start with a weird one. Shades. Who's this guy? What's his history in the comics? Do you guys know? Like, this seems like such an obscure guy to have so much control over this story.
Gary, you want to start?
You go for it, Dennis.
I honestly don't remember Shades at all, to tell you the truth. And you got to remember, a lot of Luke Cage's villains were kind of like street level thugs too, that either accidentally got powers or got some kind of weaponry or something like that to become powerful or something. There was never really like some uber bad guy like an Ultron or something like that. So they're kind of mainly forgettable for the most part. So yeah, I honestly don't know where Shades came from, to tell you the truth.
Gary, do you know any?
No, not a clue. And you know what? I go online now and all these little kids are experts on everything thanks to Google. But when I read Luke Cage, I read it all the way up through Power Man and Iron Fist. 100? I was 12. I was fucking 12. I was like 10 when I read that shit.
Plug it in.
So all I know is Cottonmouth is hang on, let me get to you since he's gone. Cottonmouth is I believe a Captain America villain. I think either Cottonmouth or Diamondback are Captain America villains. Let me double check. I can edit.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, let's go into that. So, Cottonmouth. I thought
And
that
Cottonmouth looks more like in the comic books like Diamondback did a little bit. They're both like snake guys, and very forgettable villains, kind of like the Kangaroo from Spider-Man or Stiltman from Daredevil. I mean, that's the villains, and making Cottonmouth what they did was a brilliant move. And killing him, sorry, spoiler warnings, was I was pretty disappointed with that. I understand why I had to do it, for Black Mariah, but I was kind of hoping that they would use some of the like hand technology or something or whatever they had to bring him back to life, because like he was too good to die.
Well, maybe they will. I mean, we don't know. That actor is so good. You would think that they'd want to get him in as much as just like David Tennant, right? We want him to come back, and now I think we want Cottonmouth to come back. He that blend of actor and character was perfect, absolutely perfect. Dennis, you look like you have something to say there.
Oh no, I was just saying I agree with that. I'm thinking that since we're gonna have Iron Fist, where we have the mystical side of things coming into play, and Iron Fist and Luke Cage are supposed to be joining together anyway for Heroes for Hire, which they alluded to a lot, which was really funny in this.
Yeah, we'll get there. I'm gonna ask you some questions about that when we go forward, but we'll get there.
Yeah. So I think we haven't seen the end of Cottonmouth, and plus we also saw the Doctor at the end who is helping Diamondback. Who
is he somebody from the comics? Is that Doctor a known entity in the Marvel universe?
Yeah, he's the guy. That's exactly the origin story of Luke Cage, was the whole Seagate prison thing. And the only thing they added to it was that his DNA was what made him special. And so, being that Diamondback is Luke Cage's half brother, it made sense. Yeah, he's going to experiment on this guy, considering that Luke Cage trashed his lab and all his data.
So to me, that kind of covers those three, right? Like Diamondback, Cottonmouth, Shades. They're all kind of street level, lesser. Like Gary said, Kangaroo and Stiltman, right? Like lesser villains. Now, Black Mariah, though, wasn't she the leader of Rat Pack, or what was her gang called?
Honestly, it's been so long I can't remember. But her and her mother was actually a well-known Marvel villain as well, and actually a Luke Cage villain.
Mabel, right?
Mabel.
Mama
Mabel. Yeah. And she was actually, I'm kind of surprised they just kind of left her as being deceased at the beginning of all of this instead of being a major player. But yeah, it was kind of odd. But
because she was really interesting too. I mean, I don't know how much more they're going to go into flashbacks when we get to Luke Cage season 2, if there is one, or Heroes for Hire, or anywhere else that Luke Cage might pop up. Defenders. I don't know what these are going to be dealing with. You would think Defenders would be more than just street level, but we'll see. So the only other, are there any other villains that you guys can think of that popped up here that maybe had smaller?
No, so those are both, by the way, correction, those are both Luke Cage villains. Just pure Luke Cage villains. So
yeah.
So do you know Black Mariah? What her gang was called? Because she had her own comic, right? Like there was a whole comic recently that was the Rat Pack, or I don't know. I feel like she had her own thing. But she seems to be like the highest profile character that they had on the villain.
She kept popping up a lot because she resided in Harlem. She was in control of Harlem. So there was an uneasy alliance between her and Luke Cage.
Okay, cool. So then on the hero side of stuff, we've got Luke Cage. We've got Misty Knight.
I was going to say, because I remember her from Power Man and Iron Fist, but she was in Heroes for Hire, and I don't remember that. So...
one other thing too. We also had Turk from Daredevil.
Yes,
that was crossing over as well, which was
well, they also had the councilman from Jessica Jones was at the end. I'm surprised the cops didn't cross over from Daredevil. Maybe they did, but I didn't recognize them.
Well, those are the Hell's Kitchen cops. Not
that's true. That's true. That's right. Hell's Kitchen. Sorry.
So
Misty Crocker Knight, Amazon cops wouldn't go to the mission. That's for sure, man.
In modern Marvel comics, Misty Knight is arguably one of the bigger characters in this show, correct?
Yes.
She's been an Avenger, a West Coast Avenger, an Avenger. Was she on Next Wave? Like, she's in a lot of stuff, right?
She was Heroes for Hire for a while there. She
was in the Heroes for Hire that came out in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
She has a connection to Iron Fist, correct?
Yes.
Silver Sable. Who else? Pretty much everyone in the Avengers at one point or another, she's been connected to.
So her introduction in this show, like, how did you guys feel about the Misty Knight arc aside from the long interrogation that took place over the course of like an episode and plus?
I loved it actually. I thought it was really good. I mean, they kind of even went to the point where in the comics, Misty Knight has a robotic arm, which we saw the beginnings of there with the shooting to the arm. So, so yeah, I liked it. They actually did a good job of having her. She's in Harlem. She's a part of Harlem. She's trying to make things better there, but at the same time, just really kind of pissed off at everything, all the paperwork that's going on.
How did you like the final costume they ended on in the very last episode?
Oh, it was awesome. When I saw the hair finally back, and everything, and I was like, there's Misty. That's Misty Knight.
Exactly.
Yes.
So yeah, it was like more of an origin story for her, to be honest. Yeah. And and she was the only one like wearing a costume at the end. Well, Diamondback was too, but yeah, I really like that ending scene, and I kind of like that added, that whole like how she sees a photograph, and she kind of like gets into the scene and stuff, and I like how they kind of play with is that a power or is that just something we're visualizing? Is that the power of her photographic memory, or is that a power?
So two things there. One, if that's a power, it's not very good because she missed out on the whole thing that her partner was completely corrupt, and she never was able to piece that into the bigger picture. So if her power is to take little pieces and be able to visualize a bigger picture.
Did you ever read Great Lake Avengers? There's a lot of guys who, you're an X-Men fan. There's a lot of guys with just shitty powers out there.
Yeah.
No, I know. I just thought it was interesting that her superpower is detective work, and she missed on a pretty big plot point there. But secondly, how did you guys is in the comics, is it a power, and do you think they adapted it pretty well to the show?
I think they do say it's a power in the comics. That she can see she can see the big picture, if you will. So, and she can piece things together. And I think this was kind of like Gary says, an origin story for her. She's just kind of getting into her powers, I guess you could say, and just she's using them minimally. She's not using them to the full potential that she has.
Yeah, I agree. So, Gary, Pop. Is Pop a character from the comics that you know of, and how did you like that character in the show?
I really like her. I have no clue if it was a character in the comics. It could have been. I don't know. Like I said, I read this shit when I was 12, and when I was 12, I probably read half the pages. So, I'm like, ooh, cool pictures. Pops was awesome. Pops was his Uncle Ben, because his dad, who I guess is still alive. His dad is still alive. I mean,
they don't really say if he's dead or alive. Yeah.
No, they said they said he's alive. He's definitely alive.
Okay.
And he never had a father, and he was the father figure. He was everybody's father figure in Harlem. And, he's kind of the Obi-Wan Kenobi. He had to die. It was fucked up how he died. But I thought that was one of the stronger characters in the show. And Fish, who was also in Mr. Robot, that guy was great. The chess playing dude. I love that guy.
Yeah. Bobby Fischer. Yeah.
Yeah. He just plays he plays a great contrarian. You know what I mean? Just like the guy who's like, just sees through the bullshit. Pops was awesome. I love that little backstory. I like all the little backstories. I kind of wish we had more of that, but with other characters. We didn't get enough backstory with Luke Cage. And I know they're saving it for the second series, but I mean, God, I had a discussion with somebody else about this the other day. It's like, Marvel is they're doing too much comic booky stuff. They're saving too much for the next thing and the next thing. It's because, you might not have a next thing. And I think where this series definitely falls short, and I know we'll get into this later, was just, now we've seen Luke Cage in 2 series, and we still haven't seen Luke Cage. We still haven't seen Power Man.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't wear a costume, but he kind of does, and he's still not a hero for hire. He's not even a hero. And he kind of lost.
Not to cut you off, but that does lead into our next little topic to discuss. let's discuss some of the things that weren't in this that we thought might be in this or maybe should be in this, whether it's a character or a concept or a place or whatever. Let's kick it off with this. Like the Power Man costume was only in a little bit of it.
Well, it's ridiculous looking. I mean, the 70s. I mean, this
Yeah,
costume right
Diamondback
here,
isn't exactly
that
Diamondback's
costume's
costume isn't
ridiculous.
exactly like a work of art, right? Like,
He
but they still
wears a
used it. And it was
variation of
cool.
that now. I mean, like in the new Avengers and stuff, he wore a variation of it, just a modernized like yellow shirt that, like when he gets shot, his shirt doesn't get full of holes. I mean, that would be a nice thing to have some unstable molecules. So I wish they would have done more of that. But I definitely see my biggest complaint about all the Netflix shows is there is no crossing over, and they're doing this big Defenders thing, and now it's pretty much going to be left to Iron Fist. All the crossing over is going to happen in Iron Fist. Now I understand why you didn't want to do it in this show. This will be the one show where you don't want another character coming in to kind of lend strength to it. It was really important for obvious reasons that this show stand alone on its own. Doesn't mean I'm still not disappointed. I wanted cameos. I was really disappointed in Jessica Jones not having more cameos or any even, at least they mentioned a lawyer in Hell's Kitchen in this one.
Yeah. Which they filmed, by the way.
They did film it, right?
They did film it, and they never put it in.
That's so crazy.
Maybe they put it into. Well, no, because he's out of Harlem now.
Yeah,
but maybe they put it in the Iron Fist. Yeah, that sucks.
So the connective thread has been Night Nurse. We've got Rosario Dawson. She's showing up across the shows. Obviously, we also discussed Turk. Yeah,
Turk is awesome, dude.
Who's shown up as a snitch and a. Turk's hilarious. But other than that, you're right. There's no crossover. We didn't get Hellcat. Like, Hellcat could have shown up. They were talking about boxing all over the effing place.
Well, she was talking in it. They had her voice in it.
They had her voiceover. Right.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of thought she might show up at some point. Like, they had a voiceover, but the character doesn't actually come in.
Yeah, she hasn't become Hellcat yet. That's the whole thing. That's the reason why.
This would have been a great place for her to become Hellcat, right? Like, have her show up.
I don't know.
We didn't get Matt Murdock. We didn't get any of the villains could have.
Jessica Jones didn't come a calling.
Right. They were having sex within the first 4 episodes of her show. She's not knocking on the door being like, hey, booty call. Like, no.
Exactly,
Yeah, they could have just had like a throwaway, like Jessica Jones calling him, and he looks down at the phone and just goes, yeah, whatever, and swipes.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think it's disappointments all around on that one. And then no mention of the Sokovia Accords, which would have been there were? I didn't remember it. When?
Black Mariah mentioned him twice.
She did? Well, then
it's in regards to the weapons. The weapons being brought out into the streets.
Okay, well, then I was wrong.
Yeah.
There you go. Wasn't paying attention to that part.
But there is one thing that there were hints about that I thought we were going to get in this, especially with Pops being destroyed like 15 times over the course of this show. We didn't even get like a Heroes for Hire like business card or just this, the spray paint on the window or something. Like we just got a bunch of little like, oh, you should make money off of what you're doing. Oh, you should, like we got the little hints, but we didn't actually get the storefront. And I felt like by the end of the show, we should have had Pops. We should have just seen it like closed down with like Heroes for Hire, like a sign over the door or something.
But you got to remember, he's still in federal custody right now for breaking out of prison. And Bobby found the paperwork that proves him innocent. Yeah. So I think what we're going to get, we're just going to get one episode in the next season of him getting out because of Bobby, No,
this is going to have to get resolved into Defenders if he's going to be in the Defenders, because there's going to be a Defenders before season 2. So they're going to have to go get him out of Georgia, and that'll probably be the thing that brings him back to New York.
I mean, they could have very easily. We saw Misty Knight basically shun the police department. She could be the one that opens the doors on Heroes for Hire, which would be a really cool connection to the comic books, right? So. Totally. I don't understand why we didn't get that. We saw they went halfway with that character's ending. They could have just gone one step further and had her opening up Heroes for Hire.
In the comics, it's always been Danny Rand's idea for Heroes for Hire.
So you think in Iron Fist we're going to get Heroes
I
for
think we're
Hire,
gonna get
even though
Heroes-
we
Heroes-
associate it way
yeah.
more with Luke Cage, in my
Yeah.
opinion?
Because Luke has always just been like, he wants to help the people, that kind of thing. And Danny's like, okay, well, we're not really making any money.
You gotta eat.
Do I do this?
Yeah.
We got to eat. So why don't we help people out, but also charge for our services too?
He'll get that idea from Foggy, I'm sure. Foggy will come and be like, you guys should open a store. Is there anything else you guys felt, any characters that would have been nice to have seen? Maybe Colleen, right, is Misty's bestie. Is there anyone else that seemed like they maybe should have shown up at this point, considering we're pretty far along leading up to the Defenders? I feel like they could have thrown a few more characters in that might help the Defenders fill out a little bit.
Well, yeah, they're doing this big thing of pushing the magical universe on us. Tease us Iron Fist at some point at the end. Like, I don't understand why Netflix doesn't just automatically put the trailer for their next show, which is pretty much in the can, right at the end. Like right at the end of the 13th episode. And I don't understand why they don't do stingers. There
were teasers for Iron Fist all over Daredevil, all over the place.
All over the place. And all we've seen is Finn Jones, is that his name? In rags with a beard longer than mine.
Mm-hmm.
At least mine's real. See? His is and him punching in a door. It's like, I want to see a motherfucking costume, man. I mean, like, that's one of the coolest things about Iron Fist is freaking costume.
Yep.
And let's talk about that beard for a minute that Mike Coulter was wearing. My God, in the flashback scenes.
Oh, I know.
That was a horrible beard.
Oh
I kept looking at it going, dude, just pull it off. Just pull the beard off.
Rip.
Pull the beard off.
It's so true.
The hairless. Oh, Jesus.
Okay, so just as a little fun thing to close out this character section, let's rank the villains that we've seen in these Marvel Netflix shows.
Real quick. And that prison shit, we're like Shades is all hanging out with a fucking guard.
Mm-hmm.
That's some fucking fantasy right there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna tell you right now.
I thought
standing right next to the guard.
Fantasy. I love how they made the Fight Club from the San Francisco County Jail, though. That was the thing. I thought that was freaking. I mean, it was terrible. They shouldn't have done that. The police in San Francisco are very bad. But that's the thing they used. Oh, in happy liberal San Francisco, our cops were running fight clubs.
Oh my God, there is so much corruption in the. Anyway, we'll get into that.
The police force,
politics a little bit. Yeah,
there's corruption everywhere as long as there's human beings. John,
that is true.
Right
that is true. We're losing Dennis. So
he's going to get his dog. he's got a dog that really wants to be a part of this podcast, but it can't form words. So
what's his dog's name?
That's Pepper. That's right.
Pepper.
I was gonna say Salt, but it's Pepper. I was gonna say Lisa Left Eye, but that was a different.
Pepper can co-host the Supergirl podcast with us.
Yeah,
she can. No, she wants a super dog in there.
She can't make it through an episode.
Yeah, she wants Streaky.
Crypto.
Streaky the cat.
Streaky the cat.
Captain
Carrot.
Closing out this
Space Beaver. Sorry.
rank the villains of these Marvel shows. We'll talk a little bit more about the heroes, but okay. So we've got David Tennant as Purple Man. We've got what was his name? The
Wilson Fisk.
Wilson.
We got Fisk.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
We've got what was his name? The crazy soldier guy from Alias, from Jessica Jones.
Basically, not U.S. agent, but
the Super Patriot.
Super Patriot. Thank you.
Yeah.
Patriot. We've got Punisher. I'm going to count him as a villain. We've got the Hand and Elektra. We've got let's do those, and then we'll add in Diamondback, Cottonmouth, Black Mariah, and Shades.
Well, let's start out by rating them.
Let's take the best of the best.
Show first. I mean, because there's 4 villains in Luke Cage. I think Shades turned out to be better than I thought. He started out cheesy, but I really liked him at the end. I thought he was really he's clever. He's smart. He's the survivor. Black Mariah, you know what? Next series, she'll be amazing.
Okay.
But I think she had to go through this transformation. I think it was important for her to like, some of our best villains are the ones who don't want to be at first, and she tried to play it straight. She's not very hard, but she tried to play it straight. The best was Cottonmouth. The guy put in such a great performance. Disappointed is dead, and the worst was Diamondback. To be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. In the whole series. Holy crap! It's a freaking David Tennant sneaks.
Yeah, let's start at the top. David Tennant versus Fisk. Purple Man versus Fisk. Those are the two big ones, right? Those are
apples and oranges, man.
Purple Man actually just pulls ahead just a little bit, because of the viciousness.
Yeah, I'm gonna do Purple Man and then Fisk, and then we've got Punisher maybe comes in after that, or do you think Cottonmouth is better than Punisher?
Punisher's great.
Yeah,
Punisher was great,
but the Punisher wasn't Punisher until the very end of the series.
Yeah, so but he was so Cottonmouth. You think Cottonmouth above Punisher?
Just a little bit better than Punisher. I mean, John Bernthal did an awesome job, but it's almost like neck and neck.
Yeah, I just feel like we got more Punisher, so it's it's a little tough.
We're leaving a couple out though, because like Madame Gao and Owsley were fucking great.
Let's throw those in there. Then where do you think Gao?
I would say Madame Gao, dude, is number 3 in my opinion.
Yeah, Madame Gao is awesome.
Fucking fantastic.
Okay, Gao. And where do you think is Owsley in there?
Owsley's like right. I'd say right behind Cottonmouth.
Over Punisher, I'd put Owsley under Punisher.
I don't count Punisher as a villain, but
but we are for this. He was for
then. I put him at number 3. I mean, Bernthal was so fucking good, dude.
Okay.
And then the rest is kind of The Hand was good. I look forward to seeing more of them.
So is The Hand better than Mariah or Shades?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to see Black Sky like really.
Yeah, we haven't
really happen like that. Like that, I am looking forward to.
And then Patriot
is Stick. I guess Stick's a good guy.
Nah, he's a good. We'll put him as a good guy. So here's the list. We've got the best is Purple Man. Then we've got Fisk. Then we've got the Punisher. Then we've got Gao. Then we've got Cottonmouth, Owlsley, The Hand, Shades, Mariah, and Diamondback.
And it's easily better than most of the cinematic villains.
Yes. That said, the villains in this particular series, 3 out of the bottom 5, right? Like Shades, Mariah, and Diamondback are all at the bottom of this list, and we're including Owlsley, right? Like that's a problem in my opinion. I think Mariah was really the central villain here story-wise, because Cottonmouth kind of was the first half and Diamondback was kind of the second half, but Mariah spanned the whole gamut, and she ended up kind of the one that was standing. So Diamondback had the big fight scene, and Cottonmouth was really the gangster. But like I said, I think the politics of this is really where they were centered.
You're a fan of Survivor. She played it perfect.
Yeah,
she knew like she had to pivot so much, and what Cottonmouth was completely unable to do, and Diamondback was quadruply unable to do, was like pivot their game. They were like super soul focused on this one thing, and Shades was very fluid, and that's how he survived.
Yes,
and that's how you survive. Like don't put all your fucking eggs in one basket, people.
Yeah, so, but that said, Mariah needed for this show to be more successful. I feel like Mariah's performance needed to be on the level of a Fisk or a Purple Man.
Yep,
and it wasn't.
It was not,
and that's a problem. It might be next time, right? But it's not this time, and I think that's where, when you're looking at this in the bigger picture, the context of the Marvel Netflix universe, that's where I think this show kind of fell a little bit, is just in comparison to the others, right? Like there's such a high bar.
I honestly don't think Alfre Woodward knew what she was getting. It kind of looked like she didn't know what she was acting.
Yeah.
It
like is she go? It kind of looked like, is this a superhero movie or is this a Netflix superhero show?
Yeah,
and it kind of like she wanted to go Fish Mooney on us a little bit, and she reined it in. Thank God she reined it in. She's a great actress. Don't get me wrong. I think subdued, and maybe that's the way she was trying to play it, but it was subdued because she gives like really good impassioned speeches. That's like what she's known for, you know.
Mhm.
She's still like, you know, getting Captain Picard to get off his ass and you know, shit like that. You know, it's really cool. Uh, but I think the weakness of this was the writing,
So okay,
the acting. I think
And
that
some of the
was really
directing
bad.
too.
Some of the
So
directing was pretty. Yeah. This is nowhere near. I'm sorry, none of it, not a bit of it was on the level of Daredevil as
so
far
we're
as
gonna
fight scenes. It's like,
we'll end this thing with our favorite things, but this I think leads us in really well to what I want to talk about now, which what were some of the things about this show that need improvement that we found were a little lacking, maybe our least favorite things about this? And you know, we'll just go around. I don't want anyone to get preempted by anyone else, but let's just kind of go around and kind of just name some of this stuff. So Gary, you're just getting into it. Writing and directing, the I guess I don't know, it's not production quality, but the writing and the directing. Those were a little lacking for you.
yeah, the set pieces were great. The acting was phenomenal, really phenomenal. But it really lacked in the some of the most important things in filmmaking: directing, writing, and editing. Editing was okay, but the fight scenes were bad. I mean, they were just like, you know, and it's like I would have brought over. You could tell they used their own people for this, and that's fine. But those Daredevil fight choreography people, they deserve to be hired for everything, in my opinion. And Luke Cage, that would have been really rad to see his first little scene where he tore the door off and stuff. I was kind of hoping we'd get a Daredevil homage there, an uncut scene and stuff like that. I was like, do it, go for it. I want this. And they didn't do it. And it was just like really clunky and shadowy. And they had to hide a lot. I'm wondering if their budget was a lot less.
I think so.
I think, it really seemed that way because they had to hide a lot of stuff. And John, I agree with you, and I didn't even know it until you pointed it out. There wasn't enough superhero shit. Like, he fell out of one window. It's like, I mean, like Luke Cage can throw shit and jump a little bit. And, you know, I mean, he's not super fast or anything like that, but he's just unstoppable. He's kind of like the Juggernaut, you know, I was kind of also hoping that when he went into that second acid bath, that would like strengthen his skin a little bit, because being invulnerable to alien tech at this point is a big vulnerability. Okay. You know, and like you said, he's not Daredevil. He's a level 3 guy. Like, he can go and take on some Fantastic Four villains. You know what I mean? And, you know, so it lacked a little bit in the superhero department, but where it made up for it though was the performances and stuff. So
Yes, we'll get to that. So I guess, Dennis, do you think that the reason it felt this way is because the creators of this show didn't have the grasp on the character and his power set and what it should be as much as the Daredevil and Jessica Jones people did?
I think what their problem is I got too many vibes from this, from too many different angles. I felt 70s comics, I felt Dirty Harry, I felt Shaft, and then blaxploitation movies, and then just out and out crime drama, like CSI kind of crime drama, and they were all fighting with each other instead of kind of meshing together. And every episode felt different. You know, you got a different vibe from it. And the only thing that was cohesive through the entire thing was the music.
Yep.
And I think that, you know, it was more the music producer, his skill at tying everything together. I don't think if you took the music out of it, this would have been a lot worse, I think, than it was.
I agree. I mean, the music was phenomenal. A lot of times they ended on a music montage with like clips of what was happening with each character. Those were always really good. The live performances in the club were always really cool.
And I was just gonna say the music producer is actually from A Tribe Called Quest. One of the band members there, and the original music score is actually done from the guy who did Black Dynamite.
Oh, nice.
So that's the reason why everything actually really worked. Is if you didn't have those two talented guys there, I think this series would have been, you know, probably 50% less in my liking than what it was.
I completely agree.
Agreed.
My feeling on it was I think that they had a higher budget because I think that the success from Daredevil really I don't know if you guys remember, but that week that Daredevil came out, that month that the first Daredevil came out, like these shows were so hyped, and Marvel scrapped the original game plan and started adding stuff in and moving stuff around. And I think when they did that, they actually upped the budgets on these things because they knew that they had these huge hits on their hand. And I think that the problem wasn't in the resources. I think it was I think it was in the allocation of resources. And I honestly feel like the people who made this show wanted to make a different show. Like they wanted to make a House of Cards, a like very politically driven mob show, right? Like they wanted like how is like corruption melded with politics in Harlem, and can the superhero do about it? Like that's kind of the question that the show asked. And yeah, they had like his half brother shows. You know, they had all these familial ties all over the place. But at the heart of it, you're right. It was really about the politics and about the crime drama aspect. And I don't think that they knew how they were going to cram superhero into that. And I think that they failed at it miserably.
The one thing they succeeded on, and it was just in the beginning episodes, was the complexity of politics when she's talking to when Black Mariah's talking to Cottonmouth, and they're talking about the jungle gym they built.
Yeah,
and it's like that's how she justifies her entire existence. It's like,
right.
Yeah, you threw a guy over the roof, and we had to kill a couple of guys, and we stole a bunch of money from donations. But I built a jungle gym. I mean, that was politics today to a fucking T. And I thought that was beautiful. That plays both sides, by the way. That is so right down the middle. That was a beautiful scene. And I thought some of that stuff was good. With you, I would have the complexities of that. It would have been nice to see more of it, but it would have cost us too much. You know,
what
like it already did. Well, like what you guys have just laid out beautifully was there's four types of filmmaking clashing here, and it cost us what this was, which is a superhero show.
Yes.
Now, is this better? Okay, I'll lay it out here. It's still better than any. Don't get mad at me, folks. Any Flash or Arrow episode. All of these are better than that. Netflix is on a whole different level than Flash and Arrow. Now, Flash and Arrow were 13 episodes. They might be tighter too, but they're not. So, I mean, it's really candy, and it's fluff and a lot of BS. Yeah, and Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's better than Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., definitely.
Oh, absolutely better. No. The worst Netflix show is better than the best CW show.
So where I would disagree with you is that, like, the production value is much, much higher. The depth of the show is there, right? But on like a visceral entertainment level, I will still take a good Flash episode over this.
Some people will listen to Taylor Swift instead of Pink Floyd. It doesn't make it better.
Well, no, I'm not like better. Better is whatever.
Pink Floyd is always better than Taylor Swift.
But
on a visceral level, Taylor Swift might be like kind of fun, but it's not better than Pink Floyd. Okay, but you might enjoy it more at that moment, but it's not better.
But that's like saying like Crash is better than the Avengers, right?
Crash is a piece of shit.
Right, but
Crash
what I'm
is a
saying
ginormous piece of shit.
First of all, it's all subjective, right? But
I still fucking hated that movie. Don't even bring that up. It makes me cuss.
I should have used a different.
Fucking hated that movie.
A great Oscar-winning movie.
Fuck you in your injury hole. What the fuck?
But no. I just think that's like, yeah, the production value isn't there on the Flash like it is on this. But I've been
Flash is like
more entertained with the Flash than I have with this show.
Like I said, you can be entertained. It's genuine. It's not.
But it's entertainment. I mean, that's what this is.
But it's not better,
right?
But it's not better. There's entertaining and there's quality in entertaining. So I will still rewatch Luke Cage more than I will rewatch your basic Flash episode, because even the crappy 7, 8, and 9 stuff have really important stuff that move along the story. Instead of the cold, what's the fuck, sir? The doctor at Flash, the one who's always bitching about losing her boyfriends.
Oh, Killer Frost.
Killer Frost, about her pining over another guy. You know, it's like fuck. You know, or you know, it's just like the filler in CW stuff is so utterly horrible, and that we live through it to get to the great superhero stuff. That's fun. But I mean,
still think that the high highs in
look at
yes, the low lows of the Flash are worse than the low lows in Luke Cage, but I think that the high highs in Flash are better than the highs in Luke Cage as well. I think during some of those episodes where he went back in time and let his mom die, like those were like emotional and interesting and really well done, and I didn't get moved like that watching Luke Cage at any point personally.
Yeah, I'm going to say, you know, for me,
I have yet to be moved watching an episode of Flash or Arrow.
The CW shows, I get more, and I hate to use this, but it's the only way I can describe it, those squee moments. You go, oh my God, you know, kind of thing, because they show it. Whereas the Netflix ones, if they show something, I get, oh, cool, they actually reference that. Oh, cool, they actually reference that, instead of oh my God, it's there, you know. I have to admit, though, the origin for Luke Cage, you know, the flashback, in you know, where he's busting out and he's wearing the tiara and he finally gets the big, you know,
yellow shirt on. That was
all this stuff
fucking rad.
right there.
Yep.
I started laughing and I was like, you know, it's awesome, but it is really ridiculous looking. I'm glad that's how they just did it and just kind of moved on with it.
You know, how can you justify bringing Diamondback's costume the way it is? I mean, because that was pretty much fucking accurate to exactly what it was in the comic book. And I'm like, wow, they went there.
It actually looked pretty good, though. It wasn't bad.
It was designed by Justin Hammer, so I mean, I can understand that.
It was kind of a James Brown zoot suit, is what it was. Like you know, that's what he was going for. He's going for a 70s kind of look.
But what you get in Flash and Arrow and stuff, guys, is you're getting flashcards. You're getting splash pages. You're getting they're giving you very hollow moments of what we really want to see, what we've been waiting for all these years, what Avengers gave us, you know, to some degree, and still and Civil War gave us to some degree, is depth of universe. Depth of universe. We're still, I mean, we're 3 years, not 4 years. We're almost 10 years into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's just starting to feel like a deep universe where Flash and Arrow can do that so fast. Where it's like, oh, we had an explosion and all these superheroes are here, yay! You know, it's which is cool. But I mean, like, look at Katana in was it Arrow, and look at her. Although the actress who played her in Arrow was better. Oh shit. Action figure go down. But look at the costume comparison in the movie to the TV show. I mean, it's not even close. I mean, it looks silly in the TV show now, even though the actress is better, but it looks like they made it overnight. And, you know, and it's stuff like that. I love Flash for what it is. I do. I'm not pining on Flash. We're going to be doing a podcast about it. And Flash has saved the television medium and is the template for the television medium. And hopefully Marvel will follow that template, although it doesn't look like they will.
True.
Superman took a dive.
Okay, so let's. I mean, can we? Okay, I was gonna say let's talk about our favorite episodes of the season. There's 13 of them. I think we're all pretty much gonna highlight the same episode. So, Dennis, you may have just referenced it. What was your favorite episode of this?
Actually, I haven't referenced it, to tell you the truth.
Oh,
okay.
So exciting.
Yeah, I know. My favorite episode, believe it or not, was the one that you were talking about, which you said had low production value, was the him ripping the door off and going into the fortress.
But that was the highest production value of the series.
It wasn't anywhere near Daredevil.
Again, what actually got me was when he pops in the headphones and Wu-Tang Clan starts, and I was like, "Fuck yes, this is gonna be awesome." And when he rips the door off the car, you know, the car, and just starts going for it, just going through, and just he's not killing anybody, but he's toying with them. He's just like literally slapping people and knocking them down. And I mean, that to me was one of my favorite scenes right there.
It was a good scene. It just could have been. I mean, in my mind's eye, it could have been directed better. I would have moved the camera more. It was too dark. because you couldn't tell that he was just slapping people, which is hilarious, which is just a psh, 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 which is a great contradiction to Daredevil. It would have been awesome to do an uncut scene of him just going psh, psh,
which you get later on.
It would be funny. It's funny.
The whole bodega scene with him walking, he's on the run from the cops, and he sees the two gunmen going into the bodega. And he's like, you got to be kidding me. I got to go into this. And
That's
he goes
hilarious.
and runs into Method Man. Which another
man.
Yeah, which is just awesome. I mean, and he slaps that one dude in the head. He just kind of flicks him in the head, and he goes down. The one who shoots at him, and then they trade jackets. They change. Trade hoodies. Him and Method Man, which it was just awesome. I mean, it was one of those things that also made me kind of giddy.
Yep.
Well, it was also fun because I felt like a regular Joe watching this show because I am not a blaxploitation fan like Dennis and Quentin Tarantino, and there was shitloads of cameos where like I can tell it's a cameo. I just don't know who the fuck that is.
Yeah, there were.
And so it was cool. It was fine. I don't need to know everything.
Did you catch Stanley's cameo?
I did. That was great. But like I bet you there was a bunch of Harlem cameos of people who are famous in Harlem and stuff, which is cool, but don't know them. But you could tell a little bit. I felt like somebody who just like goes and watches superhero movies and doesn't read comic books.
You know who I really liked? I liked the girl that owned the memorabilia shop. I thought she was really good. Like, I'd like to see that character.
I liked her friend too with the bad green guy in her job who's like who just walked up on Luke Cage and goes, you're being stupid.
Yeah, you don't want to F with her. What was your favorite episode of the season, Gary? Was it the same, or did you have a different one?
I actually liked I'd say if I had a favorite, it was the last one, episode 13.
What'd you like about it?
What could have been potentially really stupid turned out to be actually be a pretty cool fight scene. And let me lay this out. I've always had a weird thing, a problem with, and it's probably because I grew up in the suburbs. So I don't feel this great civic pride that these superheroes do. And, Arrow's all, we're going to save the city, and Daredevil's all about Hell's Kitchen and the neighborhood. And I've just never, ever felt, if my neighborhood goes bad, I'm fucking moving. I'm not going to go save it. I'm going to fucking move. No, but see, that's me for being from the suburbs. But in this particular show, it makes way more sense, okay? Because of the obvious reasons, which the political reasons, like they, in a lot of cases, don't have anywhere else to go. So that is their fucking home, whether they like it or not. And they do not have the luxury of moving. So it is really important to save that place. And to keep it true to its roots. And
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pride in the music
civic
and the
pride.
art.
Yeah, and the civic pride, it came across so much better than even in Daredevil, and definitely than Arrow, which is a fake city. And I think that was this show's strength. So, and the fight being in front of everybody on TV cameras, which I absolutely hate in superhero movies. This was the one that was done right.
I just wish they had John Witherspoon at the end there, just to come up and go, boy, you got knocked the fuck out.
That'd be funny, dude. Oh, my God.
What I liked about that fight, too, was it was like a street-level version of the Hulk Abomination fight or the
totally.
Or the Hulkbuster fight, or you know what I mean? Like, they took that fight idea, that concept to Harlem, right? And that was cool. It could have been better. I mean, I feel like they could have really used more than just like half a block to do it. Like it could have really stretched out a little bit more. And there could have been more like punching someone through bigger walls. Like they could have really made the stakes higher.
I think the budget was actually knocked down.
I don't think it was that high. And you know what? I also the cutting in between Carl showing him or a Stryker showing Carl how to fight. Cut into them fighting with each other, really brought the fight, like, because I wasn't buying this Cain and Abel shit because they didn't give us enough background on it.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to make Diamondback a surprise, and I understand that. But they really made up for it, though, in the fight, showing that one little scene that gave me what I wanted that was missing, which was these guys did love each other at one time, and it made it really fucking hard at the end, and,
And then just having to let go, that whole thing of him realizing I just need to make him tired, just to let go, let him get his anger out on me, and then take him down.
Then that's where Luke Cage rose above most superheroes, because if anybody has a right to be completely pissed and go Punisher vigilante, it's Luke Cage. And along with Punisher. I mean, Punisher, the whole family being killed thing's pretty fucked up. But wrongly accused and stuff, and he's just risen above and moving forward. And I think that's a great message. And even though at the end he lost.
Rosario Dawson even, I think, says it best, to the doctor. She goes, he's a bigger man than I was, because if I had his powers and he got screwed over, I got screwed over just as much as he did, you'd be dead.
You'd be fucking dead.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I just wanted to throw this out there just for budget. From what I'm understanding, the budget of this show is right around the budget per episode of The Walking Dead, House of Cards. It's a high budget show. It's $200 million for the 4 Netflix shows. So it averages out to right around.
Then you got to blame the director then. At that point.
I just think it's a misallocation of resources.
I don't think any show was particularly well directed. I think it was just very average. It wasn't bad. Well, a couple of them were bad, but it was very average.
I did like that last episode though, Gary. Like it's not my favorite, but I really liked that fight scene. I loved all the little tags at the end. The Misty leaving the police force. It seemed like she was leaving the police force. She had her costume. You had Pops, which is going to be Heroes for Hire eventually. You've got Night Nurse taking the Danny Rand learn martial arts tag off the pole. Like you got all these little tags that lead into the next one. I wish that those tags had been sprinkled in a little bit better throughout the whole show, but at least we got them in that last 5 minutes. I did. I really did like the finale.
I want to ask you guys a question though, because like I don't know how you guys binge watch. I binge watch. Like I'm like holding my eyes open for the last episode. So like towards the end, like Man in the High Castle, dude. I might as well have been watching Man Who Ate White Castle. I mean, I don't know what the fuck I was watching anymore. So I have to rewatch the last 3 the next day. Because like I think I actually did burn through all 13, but I fell asleep like drooling on my fucking keyboard. And something was going, no, and I had the pause button stuck, and it was like Luke Cage like was flapping like a duck. It was really weird. It was bizarre.
So I woke up at 7 p.m. that day, and at midnight I started watching, and I watched 9 episodes. And at the end of that dip from 7 to 9, I was just like, I can't.
Can we
stay up
rewind a little bit there?
So
you woke up when?
I woke up at 7 p.m. because I knew that I was going to be up all night watching the show.
PM?
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
I stayed up all night the night before, so I stayed up for like 24 hours, and then I slept for a long time, and then woke up at 7.
Did you ever do that night shift at Technicolor like I did?
I did the night shift at
Okay,
Deluxe.
well, dude, I couldn't fucking sleep past doing that night shift. John and I would probably work until the same hours in the morning, till like 7 or 8 in the morning. I couldn't sleep past 2. I could never sleep past fucking 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wish I had. No, I went to sleep at 9 a.m., woke up at 7. So I got a lot of sleep.
So, John, at this point, I'd like to ask you a couple questions. John used to be an employee of Netflix.
Yes, I did.
And they are super secretive about viewing numbers and subscriber numbers. You left there about 5 years ago?
Yeah, it's been a while. So
it's been a while. So
they were just starting their originals. Like I think that House of Cards was maybe in its first season when I left or something like that.
Well, I remember you telling me when you left that Amazon's coming after him and Amazon's going to surpass them at some point.
I thought they would. Netflix.
Do you still think that?
No. So what I think happened was Netflix changed its model. So when I was there were 2 things that Netflix was doing that I didn't necessarily agree with. One of them was they were more concerned with expanding internationally and to devices rather than expanding their library. So they're putting a lot of resource. They wanted to hold on to their library of what I consider to be mediocre movies and television, and they were expanding to like the Nintendo Wii and the Nintendo DS, and they were going into South America, and they were really concerned with gaining subscribers by adding devices and going into other countries. And I thought that the tact that they should have taken was looking at all their numbers internally, figuring out what types of content people like, and then licensing more better content so the site would have a smaller library, but a better library, right? Like they had a volume business plan, and I thought it should be a quality business plan.
Yep.
What they ended up doing after, and the other thing that they did that I didn't like was they had no concentration on next day TV. I thought that day after broadcast television would be like necessary, right? Like I thought that if you were going to just have Netflix and not have your cable subscription, you would want it to be so that you could get all the shows the next day on Netflix or even the next week, like just stuff that's coming out before the DVD is released, right? Because they kept just licensing basically what a DVD would be and then putting it on the service. What they did instead was, instead of doing day after broadcast television so you could get rid of your cable subscription, they ended up going like, we're just going to create our own. So they dropped a bunch of content from their library and they went with the quality over quantity model, but they did it with their own content, which to me was super risky, but it paid off because they invested in the right content. I think that if, when I was there, like Lilyhammer was one of the shows that they were banking on, and all they really had was House of Cards. And they kept trying stuff and they couldn't get anything to kind of match House of Cards. I think when Orange is the New Black came out, they started making some really, really smart deals at that point. And the other thing that Amazon did wrong, what I thought Amazon was doing right that Netflix wasn't doing right, was that they were packaging their subscription service with Amazon Prime, which everyone had for just shipping like
and you can watch
toilet
it the
paper,
next day.
right? Exactly.
You can watch it the next day, which I still think Netflix misses out on.
Right. So Amazon has these aspects. What they didn't do right was they didn't concentrate on getting on devices quick enough that people care about, and they never really figured out a way to market their own content well. Like Netflix said, okay, we're going to go with like a network marketing plan, and Amazon was like, we're going with like a tech marketing plan. And I don't think that it worked, because I think that Amazon actually has had some pretty good shows. They just haven't marketed them well. And Man in the High Castle, Transparent, these things are starting to catch on now, but it's many, many years after Netflix. And Netflix is, if you look at their originals now, it's like hundreds, like a lot of shit. Like they've diversified, they've expanded. So at this point, I think Netflix really is a very, very, very strong brand. And you can trust that if Netflix comes out and markets a new show, that is probably going to be relatively.
And you're totally right on that, because for one, just the pure access on Amazon Prime to the video is clunky. It's like I have to go into page after like 3 pages to get to like Netflix.
Some of it's free and some of it isn't with Prime. Like some of you have to pay per view. Yeah.
And a company that fucking big, your ease of access needs to be way better, because like honestly, I don't have an Amazon Prime player on my phone. I don't know if there fucking is one. I've never even tried.
But yeah, it's
great. But Netflix fires right up on my phone. Not that I want to watch TV on my phone. Yeah, I don't give a shit. Like I don't even know why I bought a PS4. I don't watch anything through PS fucking 4.
Oh, I watch everything through my PS4. That's yeah.
I got my smart TV. My TV like does all that. Netflix is on my TV. I just hit a button. It's got a big red Netflix button.
Powers is the only thing I watch to the PS4.
I play a lot of video games. So for me, it's just like I'm already
play video games too. So yeah. By the way, since you were mentioning Amazon Prime there, you guys probably don't even know that they greenlit the entire seasons for The Tick. They finally announced that last week. Jean-Claude Van Johnson, which is Jean-Claude Van Damme, playing himself, but he's a secret agent, like a black ops, which is hilarious.
That's really funny.
It's actually really good. The first episode, I highly recommend it.
Okay.
Then there's some Kevin Bacon show called I Love Dick. I don't know what it is. I think it's about Richard Nixon, and never bothered watching it. But
well, I think Amazon's got the resources to crush Netflix eventually. I mean, they're huge. They're so fucking big.
What Amazon needs to do is it needs to brand itself. So like you need like Netflix, that if you're hearing about a Netflix show, Stranger Things, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, all these Marvel shows, if you hear about them, if you're getting buzz, it's probably going to be good, and Netflix is a good track record. Amazon kind of is still throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks. They haven't created a brand for themselves that you can trust.
Yeah, Transparent's probably their signature show,
right?
Even though it's not that great. I'm sorry, I've watched a full season of that, and I'm like, because I love Jeffrey Tambor, and I'm gonna just say it. It gets a lot of awards because it's politically correct, or something. Whatever. It's not great. It doesn't deserve the accolades it's getting. Man in the High Castle is the shit. The production values of that are amazing. You're right. They need to work on a lot, but they have the money to do it. If they decide to like, hey, we're just going to steal the best Netflix people, they can do it. What Netflix is right now is HBO. That's exactly what they are.
Yes.
And HBO was really fucking smart and pissing off every cable, believe me, every cable company by going direct. Like you can just get HBO online now. And that's the future. Now their platform sucks. It's terrible. They need to work on that. But HBO will be right up there. I would don't count them out at all.
Here's the thing: there's also the networks are also coming out with their over-the-top content, right? Yeah. So, like CBS right now has a online-only Big Brother season. They're going to have an online-only Star Trek show. And they're taking properties that they know people like. That's a terrible idea, and they're driving people toward their subscription.
Such a terrible idea.
Hey, look, the Big Brother thing is working really well.
No, that's fine. You know what? I think all reality TV shows should go on fucking line. To be honest with you, but to bring back Star Trek to television and then not bring it to television is just that's right up there with like completely fucking over your 50th anniversary. Oh, they did that. Sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, for $5.99, like eventually we're just going to have an aggregator for all these subscription services where it's just like a cable thing, but you get it over the top.
A la carte. It's going to be a la carte. You know what?
And that's what they're ahead of.
Fuck Comcast. Fuck Dish.
That's the thing. So you may be pissed off that it's going not to your TV, but they're ahead of the game.
No. I am plugged. I don't have Comcast or DirecTV. I don't have any of that shit.
So get all access, $5 a month, and you're going to get your Star Trek show and all this other content.
I pay for HBO Now, Netflix, Hulu Plus, and one other thing, HBO. No, I already said that. So I pay for like I pay $30 a month for all my content. And I got to wait a day. Big deal.
Yeah, right.
But Hulu kind of sucks too.
Well, until Runaways comes out. I mean, hopefully they'll start being good. Anyway, let's get back to Luke Cage for a little while. So my favorite episode, just to close this section out, I really liked the Origin episode. It was the most like geek out episode of the show. I love how they got him into his costume one piece at a time. So he had like the armbands first, then he had the tiara, then he had the shirt, then he's also all of a sudden running through the streets like in the full on like yellow shirt. It's pretty awesome. And I like how they like tongue in cheek referenced it later when he's like talking about his escape when he's talking to, I think, Night Nurse. So I liked that kind of geeky aspect of the origin story and like the hair and the shitty beard and it was just really fun. I thought that the show needed fun, and right there it injected a little bit into itself, and I liked that.
Yeah, that's when it took a real like superhero turn. You know what I mean?
For one episode
when it needed to, and then stopped. It had the gadgets but another disappointment was it didn't tell you very much about what the compound was. What was it made from? Like, I was really interesting. Are you going to go off canon a little bit? Are you going to make this? Is this another attempt to create another Captain America, or which has kind of been retconned in doing, or is this an attempt to make another Hulk? Or
Wolverine,
or Wolverine. It's like, give me something, and they didn't say anything. It's like
it felt very Weapon X, which I liked. I really liked that aspect of it.
God damn, Marvel needs to get the X-Men. They need to get the X-Men. I think that's their next move.
And that chain, I was just wondering where the chain came from. I don't know where his belt. I was kind of like, where the hell did that come from? I didn't see him grab that.
Yeah, that was cool though.
They cut that scene.
Oh, and also, I don't know if you recognized the list of files that were on the drive, on the little thumb drive. One of them referenced the tiara.
Yes, he even mentions it when they're looking through it. Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, that's the thing I was wearing on my head when I." Like that.
And I was kind of like, okay, so maybe the tiara had something more to do with it than and maybe
which is why he'll wear it eventually.
Yeah,
hopefully. Who knows? I hope so.
I hope he's in like just a standard costume. You know what I mean? A battle costume.
They will. By the time he's on Defenders, they'll all be in costumes.
That's my biggest freaking disappointment about Hawkeye. Hawkeye doesn't look like Hawkeye. I hope they fix that.
And Jeremy Renner is like, Hawkeye is supposed to be kind of like funny. Like
Well, he's supposed to be funny and bad, and he'd be the last guy married to a couple people.
Yeah, he's like a playboy. Yeah, they missed
No,
the
he's
mark.
a slut and kind of an ex-bad boy. Remember, he
Yeah.
was an ex-villain. So, yeah, I hope they fix that. But
So I want to close out this podcast. We're running, I think we're about an hour in now, and this may take a little while, but let's just go around and one by one, as specific as you can get, and we'll just go in the circle until we run out of stuff. Dennis, name one of your favorite things about this series. Let's end on a high.
I'm sorry, you cut out there for one. What?
Name one of your favorite things about Luke Cage, or about the show.
The show. I'm gonna say my most favorite thing was the music. I mean, just the music was awesome. I wasn't expecting it. I literally was not expecting anything like it, and it's probably one of the best soundtracks that they need to release. By the way, if you look up on our Facebook page, I put a link to the music producer. He actually made an unofficial soundtrack on Spotify, and I've got a link to it there, and he's got all the music from the show in there.
You can go there. It's facebook.com/Nerdrotic podcast, correct?
Correct. Yes. And,
yeah, check it out, like us, and you can listen to the really good music from the case. So aside from the Wu-Tang Clan, right, when he put the headphones in and had the awesome fight scene, aside from that, what's another musical moment of the show that you really dug?
The one that was kind of tongue-in-cheek and also just a nice throwback was Diamondback putting on Son of a Preacher Man.
I thought that was brilliant too.
And explaining about his whole background and why he was doing what he was doing to the soon-to-be ex-counselor there, or councilman. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, that's kind of nice. They did a nice little job there.
Yeah, no, I agree. The music was a revelation here. Without the music, the show wouldn't have been what it was. And I think, again, I honestly think that was one of the places that they allocated a lot of resources. If we're talking about budget, I think that they very purposefully allocated a lot of their budget toward music, and it may have been a very smart thing to do had they maybe also, concentrate on some more of the superhero set pieces. But the music definitely made it what it was, for sure.
It felt like kind of like a version of Buffy. Buffy always they always like led with the music and stuff, and I always enjoyed that, and I enjoyed
Harlem's
it very
Paradise
much.
Is like what was the Bronze?
The Bronze, yes. Yeah. And I thought that was very cool. My favorite thing was
what was one of your favorite things about the show?
One of my favorite things about the show was like you really got the civic pride. You got the feel of neighborhood in this.
So Harlem was a character.
Harlem was a character. Harlem was a viable character, as important as Luke Cage to the show.
Yep. No, I agree. I mean, we kind of, they kind of hinted at that with they didn't more than hinted at it. Like Hell's Kitchen, like you had Matt Murdock and Foggy who had pride in Hell's Kitchen, but it was almost like they did when no one else did. Whereas like with Harlem, it was almost like their pride sucked Luke Cage into being who he was, which I liked that.
But I feel like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I still don't feel like I know what Hell's Kitchen looks like. I feel like I know this is just in the show aspect. I feel like I know what Harlem looks like.
Yes.
Hell's Kitchen, I couldn't, Harlem has landmarks. They also made a great mental map of the area. Phil from the digital class was really the class we took. Yeah, he worked the whole mental map, and it's like you have to show the viewer everything in the world, even when they don't know they're seeing it. You know what I mean? And I don't think they did that or maybe I wasn't looking. I don't know. In Daredevil as much as they did in this one. So
Hell's Kitchen was more of a set piece than it was an actual place. Yeah. Whereas Harlem actually felt like a place on a map. That's something you could walk through. Yeah. That's what it felt like.
So,
which it is, but you know what we're talking about.
Yes, exactly.
One of my favorite things about this was I thought that they paired what I liked that they had a African American cast that was fully filled out with really great performances and actors. I think that there, shows are trying to do this more and more these days, and I feel like they executed it really, really well. And I really, really loved Mariah was an amazing character, and Cottonmouth was brilliant, all the way down to all the little side characters. The dude playing chess, like everyone in this show was like perfectly fit for their character, and they performed like everyone was performing at a very high level. And,
Well, the side characters in particular were really good in this show. Were really
it's
good.
just so strong, and it just
And
shows
a lot of times
that
better than some of the main characters.
Yeah.
Actually, I almost forgot. There's also one other thing that was really cool was Luke Cage's final, speech, if you will.
Yes. Yep.
In the police station.
In defeat,
Yeah. Yeah, and it was just really, and people were, walking in, like the cops coming in and listening.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, yeah, that's community right there.
Yes.
Well,
yeah, it's like
it also like spelled out that this is still a black man in America. You think he's gonna win?
Yeah.
Right.
Not that easy. Not that easy, man. It's
Yeah, I love how it was like bulletproof skin is always second to him being a black man. Like
exactly, I know.
A lot of those moments in the show worked with the show. Like they crafted the show in a way that like it wasn't
heavy-handed.
Yeah, it wasn't heavy-handed,
Nope.
but it was noticeable. Like it was at the forefront at all times, but it made sense, right? Like it all made sense. Now, again, that's all really, really great. I just wish that they hadn't lost sight of the fact that it's a superhero
show. Yeah,
right.
I think it got. Yeah, and that's where we have the one weakness in it, but it's still really good, and I look forward to the Defenders. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for Iron Fist. I wish they would give us a freaking trailer.
I can also say, and maybe this will be a last point that we can debate, but I still think that the first season of Daredevil is the strongest show that they've had for the Marvel Netflix stuff, and I feel like I hope that by the time they get to Defenders, that's not the case, because I think starting on a really, really high note and just trying to match that every time, and maybe getting close, but not moving past that bar that they set, is starting to become a problem when we're 4 series in.
You got to realize, and you know this, John, better than most, is the people involved in that first show were like top of the line. Like
Drew Goddard
talent. Like they need to bring, and the reason they couldn't get him for season 2, and season 2 was still freaking awesome, was prior commitments. But they're all coming back. Yeah. They're all coming back and are involved in Daredevil. So I mean, like as long as Drew Goddard and the other guy, who's the other guy? The guy who did
Knight.
Yeah.
Oh, Stephen Knight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who did Spartacus.
The one who's, Spartacus. Yeah, which was such a goddamn good show. As long as those two are back, we're good. We're in good shape. Those guys are talented.
But they need to find talent to match. You can't do it all yourself, right? Like, so, yeah, it'll be great every time Drew Goddard and Stephen Knight are working on a show, but they need to make sure that they can have
out
other.
Yeah, it's out there.
That's not what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not saying that anything's fallen amazingly short. I'm just saying, like, they started on a really high note and they set a bar. And I think that the goal should be to surpass that every time instead of like trying to reach it every time.
Yeah. Agreed.
I don't know, Dennis. Do you seem to?
I honestly, tell you the truth, I think Jessica Jones, story-wise, was the strongest out of all the series so far.
Okay. Why?
Just because it. I don't know. For me, it was more like emotionally draining watching that. Just all the stuff that she was going through and everything, and. It was a different story than the Daredevil or Luke Cage story.
How much of that do you think is the story, and how much do you think of that is just David Tennant as Purple Man was so good?
Well, yeah, he was awesome in that. I mean, I don't think if they didn't have a villain in that, it could have been really bad.
Hey, was he up for an Emmy for that?
No, he wasn't.
Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my god.
Yeah,
I know.
Well, come on.
That's they finally gave one to Orphan Black on the way out the door.
Tatiana.
Yeah, where she should have won every fucking year.
Yeah.
So they're stupid. Whatever. Awards are fucking lame.
Yeah. That means went off the rail like 15.
Yeah,
20
the ratings are down like 80% in the last 20 years. So that tells you why.
Okay, well, we're coming up on, I think, about an hour and a half here. Any closing thoughts, Dennis?
Well, looking forward to Iron Fist, of course, and Defenders. Hopefully, I mean, honestly, I just hope Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. can pull their head out of their ass and maybe start using some of this stuff, because I'm honestly sick of it, to tell you the truth. I mean, Daisy's stupid. The CGI Ghost Rider head is just fucking lame. I'm sorry. I'm a big Ghost Rider fan.
We'll get into that.
So that's interesting.
That's
so
a whole
that'll segue,
next segment.
Yeah. Let me segue that into closing this thing out. So Gary, we're going to be podcasting about the second episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Dennis should stay. Sounds like he's got opinions.
Yeah, if Dennis, if you wanna hang out and even do a segment on it or whatever, we'd be glad to have you. But look for that podcast coming up either Monday or Tuesday before the next episode. Well, we don't have an episode this week, so we'll release our episode on Tuesday to give you your Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fill, and then we will be back about 6 days after the next episode airs with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So look forward to those, and like we said earlier, we've got a lot of live shows coming up this week with Arrow, potentially Supergirl now, The Flash, and of course our Nerdrotic TV roundtable, which will highlight a few shows that we don't cover every week. And yeah, it'll be Gary, Melissa, potentially Dennis, and myself if he's able to come in at that time. And yeah, look forward to all these podcasts we've got upcoming. The slate's pretty full.
I gotta throw a couple in. I got one in the can with me and Chris Ortiz talking about DC movies, which we know Dennis doesn't want to talk about. And kind of, it's a podcast basically. It's basically the good, what little good we found out of Suicide Squad and the hope for DC Comics in the future. What we hope. I thought it was a really good podcast. I've sitting on it for like a month. I also got a podcast in the can that I'm going to put out this week of how the BBC completely fucked Doctor Who. So, and it's a solo one, and it's about 20 minutes of me complaining about a year without Doctor Who.
Yay!
So, also, our next Doctor Who episode is a Christmas special, and I'm just going to sign off with saying it's 83 days till Sweet Christmas.
Sweet Christmas.
Sweet.
Okay. Like us on Facebook, and if you have any questions for our upcoming podcast, which you just laid out, go on to our Facebook page and ask them there. We'll try to feed all or answer all of them on the upcoming podcast. So see you later, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.